Hello and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to explain the logistics and design around Guts' arsenal using an action figure of him. If that sounds interesting, you know what to do. So one of my favorite parts of those videos that Masahiro Sakurai did for the Smash Brothers character presentations was when he explained that he will often buy action figures in order to provide reference material for team members, and also sometimes the action figures would help them see details that you normally wouldn't see, like what do the bottom of the character's feet look like? And I really liked that. It just made me like him even more, and it also kind of helped me realize one of the reasons I love action figures so much. An action figure that's well made will give you a lot of additional insight about a character you enjoy, and that is 100% true with this 3016 scale Guts figure. So let's explore Guts' gear together using this figure. We can start with the cloak, since we're going to have to get that out of the way anyway. It's very large, and besides making Guts look cool, it of course has the practical purpose of protecting him from the elements. He can wrap it around himself. Not included with this figure, but it does have a hood that can go over him, so serves all the purposes that a cloak would need to serve. So let's get this off. And actually, before I go further, I'm just going to talk about how cool and detailed this cloak is. I love the weathering on it, all the holes. It's perfect. So anyone familiar with Berserk knows that Guts has this cool prosthetic arm. What you may not know is that his arm was actually severed just past the elbow, so he can manipulate at least his arm. He can bend it if he needs to. This figure is a little limited in this department, but kind of shows you what range of motion he has. There's this set of hinges here and a spring to kind of help him manipulate the arm. This is not a, like, you know, Luke Skywalker loses his hand and immediately gets a robot replacement and puts a glove over it, then you forget it even happened. He cannot manipulate this arm at all on his own. There's no magic or anything happening here, so he can't, like, manipulate the fingers. What he can do is when he places, like, a sword hilt into this, the fingers are magnetized, so they will wrap around it. So that can help him grip his big ol' honkin' sword. Aside from that, there's also a cannon hidden in this arm. You can see the barrel here, and there's this switch right here that he pushes, and when he does that, it actually releases the wrist hinge here. It makes the hand just kind of flop down, and that allows him to aim the cannon. This is his trump card that he kind of uses in dire situations, and it always is extremely cool whenever it happens. So since Guts can't manipulate anything with his hand, you can see that pretty much all of his supplies are on this side of his body. We got a dagger here, we got throwing knives, we got a satchel that holds, I remember seeing extra throwing knives, his bombs, gunpowder for his cannon. Generally all of his supplies he needs quick access to are in this little pouch here. And then this one back here has bolts for his crossbow, which is stored in here. We'll look at that in a minute. And I like the detail that all of this stuff is on his right side, because, you know, he's only got one good arm, so he needs to be able to reach all this stuff. So a general character design thing I want to call out here that I really love is that Guts clearly is prepared for situations where he does not have room to use his sword. He's got these throwing knives so he can be a bit stealthier. He's got the dagger. He's got the crossbow. He has plenty of combat options available to him if for whatever reason he doesn't have access to a sword. There's even a couple of times where he'll just, you know, tick someone in the face with this metal arm. So he is very much capable even without his big sword. But we've referenced it enough. Let's actually look at how he's got this thing strapped on his back. And I think this is one of the coolest parts of his design by far. So as you can see here, we got this strap and a chain that loops around the sword. It goes under, and then, let's get your arm out of the way. It goes under and then loops around to the front. So that kind of holds the sword in place. And there's also this chain link on the sword, which hooks onto this chain on the baldric here. Obviously, a scabbard for a big old sword like this is impossible. So I think this is actually a really smart way for him to be able to stow the sword on his back for traveling, and he can get it out with very minimal effort. All he has to do is disconnect this chain right here, which like there's actually a manga panel depicting him doing this exact thing, which I think is very cool. So he just disengages this little hook like that. And now the sword is more free. And at the same time, he can reach up. I could be very careful with this arm. I broke the butterfly joint one time, actually, and I had to get in there with a screw, and I broke a drill bit, which is probably inside his torso somewhere. It was that was one of the craziest repairs I've ever done. Anyway, so all he has to do once he's freed that chain is just reach back and like pull up on the sword a little bit to get it off of that chain, and the sword is free. So there's no like trying to, you know, pull it out of a long scabbard or anything. He just releases that chain, pulls it up a little bit, and it's free. You can pull it out. Of course it's off camera. I love how huge this sword is in my hand. Like, I mean, look at that. That's ridiculous. Like I've got like a butcher knife in my hand. So when he's actually fighting with the sword, he doesn't have to worry about a scabbard or anything. There's just this little strap flopping around. I'm sure he doesn't even notice. It is interesting thinking about what it must actually feel like to hold a sword this way, where, you know, like your actual feeling stops here, but you know that this is at least gripping onto the sword with the magnets. So I'm sure a lot more work is being done by his right arm when he is fighting. And the left arm is kind of meant to more stabilize. So next we can talk about the crossbow. Let's fix your shoulder here, buddy. There you go. So that is stowed in a pouch right here, so he can just reach back and pull it out by the handle. Let's do that now. So the way they have you stow it with the figure is you take a couple pieces off. So let me show you what this actually looks like when he pulls it out of the pouch. And you just you go in the corner, add these parts on here. This was a terrible idea to try to do on camera. Not even looking at what I'm doing. So without the limitations of action figures, this is what the crossbow looks like folded up. So he just yanks it out. And as he pulls on this, it kind of unfolds into what we have here. So these this little clamp here has these two hinges, so you can see what it looks like collapsed. And let's show how this actually goes on his arm. Actually, before I do that, this is actually how he operates it. It's a little crank. And that is what powers a mechanism that drops the bolts from the magazine in here down and pulls the string back and then fires it. So when using his crossbow, he grabs it with this hand and he kind of flips it around and mounts it on the prosthetic arm. So the fingers will wrap around this little handle, because again, they are magnetized. And then this clip goes onto the arm like this. So once he raises it up with the fingers all wrapped around, it's pretty secure on there. Then as we saw, he could reach over and operate the crank. Butterfly joints on this figure are not the best, so it's kind of hard to demonstrate that, but you kind of get the idea. So that is another way that Guts can fight without having to use his sword. So I don't know if I'm like articulating this very well, but I'm just a huge fan of when character designs are actually thought out. I think it both is just interesting to learn about for a character, and it shows that the creator really, really loves this character and they want that character to make sense. I mean, obviously, a character who can just wield a giant sword the way Guts does is not realistic, but at least everything about this character design is plausible. Isn't it kind of dumb the way Sephiroth just kind of has his sword sometimes and then he doesn't, or the way Cloud can just kind of put his sword over his shoulder and it just sticks on his back with no real explanation? It's not the end of the world. It doesn't ruin other character designs, but I think it makes character designs like this exceptional. All right, let's get him back in the case as we wrap up. Thank you for watching. This was a little something different I wanted to try. Not even sure if I'm going to upload this, to be honest. It was a little janky, but, you know, it was a chance to show off a cool action figure and a cool character design. So if I actually do upload this and you enjoyed it, please let me know. Bye. Whoops. We forgot a throwing knife. Get that back in there. Yeah.